Epstein, the Epstein files, should I say, is an interesting topic, right? This is something, like I said at the start, I was a bit apprehensive to speak about because we've had some comments where people have been interested in me speaking about it, and I didn't know when the right time was, okay? Now, Trump has really been moved to this argument that, you know, the Epstein files are some sort of Democrat hoax, and he's just been pushed and pushed and pushed. And I don't really know where he can go from here. There was a Truth Social this morning, or at least it was this morning in the UK, where he stated that the Republicans should just push it through because we've got nothing to hide. If only he said that from the start. If only he said that from the start, it wouldn't have been so bad for Trump. But right now, it's looking terrible for him because we have House members, Republican House members, in Marjorie Taylor Greene, in Thomas Massie, in others, right? These are Republicans who are stating, let's just be transparent, right? Let's be transparent. And this is where the Act's name comes from. The Act is the Epstein Files Transparency Act, right? And you've got Thomas Massie, who, I must say, fantastic House member, perhaps the best House member. We're talking about an individual that hasn't received a penny from AIPAC, right? Not a penny. Same with Marjorie Taylor Greene. I do have my problems with her, and she seems a bit rough around the edges, but she is someone who is immovable on this Israeli situation, and I don't think Trump likes that, frankly. I don't think Trump likes someone who is going against... Because Trump is an individual who, whenever it seems like he may be moving away from the pro-Israeli side, he always manages to get pushed back, crawling back to the Oval Office, you know, stood alongside Prime Minister Netanyahu and granting him whatever he pleases. And it always goes back to this. And the question I have is, why is that? We're going to get into that question. I do actually have my theories. But before we do that, let's discuss what's gone on here. The Epstein files, a lot of them came out, right? Many of them emails on the 12th, right? Last Wednesday. I believe it was 20,000 or even more. And a lot of these came out from the House Oversight Committee. Some of them, the initial documents came out from the Democrats, and then many of them, the 20,000 we're discussing now, came out from the Republicans as sort of a counterattack against the Democrats, because they were saying the Democrats were cherry-picking the documents and using that to make the president look bad and his close allies and such. I'm not here to say what the truth is, but if you have read those documents, right, I haven't obviously read all of them, but I've read some of the notable ones, it looks really bad for Trump, okay? It looks really bad for Trump. I think it was clear that he was implicated within the Jeffrey Epstein world. I think we've known that for quite some time. But the question is, to what point was he implicated? To what point was he implicated with Epstein, with Ghislaine Maxwell and all of these individuals? Because we've saw the photos, we've heard the stories, right? This is a disgraced financier who was in control of a sex trafficking ring. He allegedly committed suicide in 2019, which I would frankly contest. But it is known that he committed suicide and he's officially dead, right? But his emails haven't died with him, because if we read the emails, what does Epstein call Trump? Epstein calls Trump Dirty Donald, right? I know. There is another one which I will not discuss. This is a PG show, frankly, but it includes Bill Clinton, it includes Donald Trump. If you know, you know. That also very bad for Trump. And this is like reputational damage that cannot be undone. We're going to get into that also in the third topic, but this is damage that cannot be undone, frankly, okay? And whether it is true, whether it is not, I'm not here to say that, okay? I don't know. You can very much manufacture and fabricate these emails, but I don't even think the White House has said that. I think the White House has said there's nothing in here that proves Donald's done anything, even though there is an email where it states, you know, Epstein saying something like, "I know what you did," and then the victim's name is obviously removed. It's bad, right? And it gets even worse in terms of the Israeli side and the Zionist side, but we're not going to discuss that just yet. These are 20,000 emails that have come out. There is many more to come out. There is going to be a vote this week in the House. Now, bear in mind, the Republicans, I believe, have a 219 to 215 majority in the House. Will this pass? Even if it does pass, it won't pass in the Senate. And to be fair, frankly, even if it passes in the Senate, it then needs to get the presidential signature. I think Trump will veto it. Why will he say that he's vetoed it? I don't know. Maybe potentially he will say something along the lines that there are people implicated within these files that if it were to come out, it would sort of, I don't know, destroy the whole political establishment. I don't know. But at the end of the day, he's going to have to come up with something, because I do believe he's implicated within these files a lot more than he's making out, right? To what extent? I don't know. But I do think he is implicated within these files. And a lot of these cookie cutter, you know, Republican grifters, I'm looking at you, patrickbetdavid, I'm sorry to say, you used to be an individual who was a bit different, right? Before Trump came in the second time, and now you've just turned into this Ben Shapiro crowd. This form of republicanism is dying, frankly. This form of conservatism is dying, okay? It's on its last legs. And these people try and make out, you know, if Trump had something to hide, they would have brought it out in last year. They would have brought it out last year when he was in the run-up to the election. Are you joking, my friend? They wanted him to win. Trump had the backing of pretty much everyone from all types of establishments, right? Whether it's big tech, whether it's Mark Zuckerberg, whether it's Tim Cook, whether it's Peter Thiel of PayPal, whether it's Elon Musk, of course, right? This is not an argument to make. The establishment wanted Trump to win, right? However, and I must make this point, what if Trump does something that the establishment doesn't want? Because so far, he's done pretty much everything they want him to do, right? Everything they want him to do. They don't have a problem with him deporting illegals. They don't have a problem with that. They don't have a problem with dividing the whole country between Republicans and Democrats, having these no kings protests. They don't care about that. They want that. There's division, just like there's division in this country, with the far right and with the Muslims and such, with the liberals. And I'm not putting Muslims and liberals on the same side, by the way. But there's division, is the point I'm trying to make, right? So don't try and come here with all of this, you know? Don't try and come here saying that, you know, if Trump had skeletons in his closet, they would have released it last year. No, they would not have. They wanted Trump to win. Everyone, from, like I said, big tech to all the establishments, to the political establishment, right? They wanted Trump to win. Okay? So let's just get that out of here. Whatever point they're trying to make there. The government shutdown has ended. It was a 43-day shutdown, the longest shutdown in US history, I believe. And the vote is scheduled to happen this week, sometime this week, right? We'll see what happens. Like I said, 219 to 214 majority in the House, a 53 majority in the Senate. But again, even if it passes both, which I don't think it'll pass the Senate, even if it passes both, what happens? What happens? Trump can just veto it. He doesn't have to sign it, right? So I don't know what this is.